There were 5 games on in the NBA on Monday. Let's take a look at them. Some big injury updates as well, and huge performances from some absolute bust players. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and the best breakfast food is waffles. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Win your first $5 bet and get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. We've got newsletters, your favorite team. LockedOnDaily.com. Go and check it out. Sign up for the newsletter. All of the best info for your team in those newsletters, LockedOnDaily.com. And you can double bang over here. We are very close to 80K, and I reckon by tomorrow we might get it. If you are one of those people who just has love in your hearts to give, I will receive it with open, whatever you want open, I will receive it. Get us to that 80K. We're here to talk about the games on Monday. There were, as said, 5 of them, all for some absolutely stupid reason, starting at the exact same time. I really don't know what happened there, but that's okay. Was it deliberate? Was it not? I guess we'll never know. Let's take a look at some news that dropped out of nowhere. Damian Lillard is in the concussion protocol. He's going to miss Tuesday's game. There is some hope that he's available for Wednesday, according to Chris Haynes. There'll be bloody short amount of time to be in the concussion protocol, but I guess we will see. Gary Trent is still dealing with back spasms there. By the way, despite what Gary Trent's position eligibility may be on your fantasy site, I don't know what it is. He's not a point guard. He's never been a point guard. He's like a 2 assists per game player. He is not anything like that. What Glenn Rivers did last season at times was play Pat Connaughton at point guard, but the guy they've been going to, amazingly at the moment, the guy they've been going to is the backup point guard. Last in the legend, Ryan Rollins. I don't know if he will start. I don't know if they'll start Connaughton because, Doc and young guys. Giannis can function as a point guard, but he needs somebody else. And usually, if, say, Chris Middleton was available, I'd say that Middleton could be that guy. But he's not either. So, in that starting group, if it's Andre Jackson and Giannis and Lopez and Taurean Prince, you want somebody else out there. I don't think that's Trent. I don't think it's AJ Green. I think it could be Connaughton, who's also out of favor at the moment. It could be DeLon Wright, who's also getting DMPs. Imagine it's Ryan Rollins. Bloody hell. It could be. I think they lean towards Connaughton. With 8 games on, I'm not sure any of them are super stream guys. Maybe Andre Jackson does more ball handling. Maybe you stream him in. Prince gets a bit of a boost as well with more usage going his way. Same with Bobby Portis. But if you're rolling the Rollins dice or trying a Connaughton or a bloody DeLon Wright or an AJ Johnson, I really don't think that's going to be a hugely good move. We got the update on Zion Williamson, 4 to 6 weeks. That's brutal, man. When I did the injury show this morning, I was expecting 3 to 4. 4 to 6 is clearly longer than that, as we can tell. And we'll talk about the Pelicans later and what that meant in their lineup and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, terrible news with Zion. You hold him in your IR if you can, but if you're into tough decisions and you've got to make those calls, well, in some spots, maybe he's a drop. Probably not. He's good enough, but this honestly could linger way longer than that. That's the worry. We also got the update on Malik Monk and his ankle. It's going to be at least 2 weeks. So, again, we've got the Kings playing today, and the replacements were terrible, as was the entire team. But Herter and Alice do get that value bump and can be 12-team guys in that short term. And then we've got the update finally on Lonzo Ball and his wrist, and there's still no timetable to return. They said, he was really close to having a really serious wrist sprain. Yeah, maybe he did. Maybe he did have that really serious wrist sprain. So I don't know when he's back. Clearly, you aren't holding him. I would hope. Let's take a look at some waiver wire trends, and I just realized that I've got the waiver wire trends here, and I forgot to put the waiver wire most dropped players on, but we'll just go through, to start things off, the most added players in fantasy basketball. This is over the last 48 hours. Keyshawn George was number 1. We'll talk a little bit more about him later on when we go through that Wizards game because, he came off the bench with Kyle Kuzma returning. Number 2 is Brandon Boston, old BJ himself. Yep, really strong ad. Number 3 is DeAnthony Melton. Yeah, he's the 3rd most added player, but like I detailed on one of the shows earlier today, he's still available everywhere. So I would add him, even though I've got a heavy dose of skepticism about how he's going to be used. Number 4th most added player is Rob Williams. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Isaiah Stewart, totally fine to have him there, even though Duran might be returning. And the 6th most added player is Stephon Castle. Castle was pretty solid today, like with the assist. But yeah, overall, I do think that when Vassell is back to full minutes and then when Sohan returns, he's not going to be the 12-team league guy. Streaming-wise, like, go for it. The top 6 most drop players, number 1, Davion Mitchell, absolutely. Number 2, Julian Champagny, cool. Number 3, Tamani Kamara, I get it. 4 is Garrison Matthews, maybe you want to stream him in tomorrow with Trae Young out. Number 5 is Denny Avdia, actually totally okay with that. And number 6 is Russell Westbrook. So yeah, I think all of that makes pretty good sense, to be honest. Speaking of sense, it'd be good sense for me to go in and talk about the games now. We've got the first one of those up for you to look at. It is the San Antonio Spurs. Somehow beating the Kings by 20 points, 116-96 was your final score here in this one. We'll start on the Kings side of things, and you've got to be really worried if you drafted De'Aaron Fox about the assists because he played 36 minutes again and had 24, 6, and 3. He's dealing with the finger problem, yeah, but we had this worry, like what's going to happen with the assists with DeRozan arriving? And honestly, DeRozan's game, it's not really changing. It's guys like Sabonis and Fox who seemingly are adjusting to him. I thought it was great to be able to get that value of DeRozan. Giving away an unprotected pick swap was insanity, but they did it. But then the question was always about the on-court fit, and I would say so far it hasn't gone particularly well. We'll find out, though, how it goes long-term. DeRozan had 21, 8, and 6 with 1 steal and 2 blocks. That's really good from DeMar. While Sabonis had 23, 11, and 4 with 2 steals, and pretty good shooting from him as well. The rest of the team, what are we doing here? Keegan Murray, 5 points in 29 minutes, shot 29%, and he's been bad. He hasn't been a top 100 player this season. There were always going to be, I thought, really significant struggles for Murray, given the configuration of this team, and that has played out so far. I don't think that he's pushing to be a top 75 player, so I wouldn't bank on that happening. Kevin Huerter, we talked about, yesterday he went off. That's great, Josh. You're a legend. You said about he's going to have this hot streak now, or that's what he's done in the past, and like he had 2 points because he's Fanapants. And maybe the hot streak died after just one game. I would still consider holding Huerter just because Monkey's out, but man, this guy sucks. 2, 3, and 3 with 3 steals. While Keon Ellis, well, if you added him for steals, you got him. Unfortunately, you got 3, 0, and 0 and 17% shooting. Huerter to me is a priority over Ellis, even though I think Ellis is the better player and the better fit. But I don't know if Mike Brown's ever going to realize this. Will he? I don't know. He finds it interesting enough to play Kevin Huerter more than Malik Monk at times too. So, yeah, there are some questions about some of that decision-making that goes on there in Sacramento. It was 27 minutes for Trey Lyles, by the way. He had 8 and 4 with 2 blocks. I think we can ignore most of that outside of maybe deeper leagues. But, go look at his game log. That's just not a realistic thing that Trey Lyles does. On the Spurs side of things, the old second-round legend, Victor Wembanyama, 34 and 14 with 6 threes, 6 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks. Shot 59%. He's the second-ranked player this season. So, yeah, if you took him at number 1 over Jokic, I'm sure you're killing yourself. What a disaster that is. Yeah, Jokic has been awesome. But, yeah, this guy's also pretty good. So, I think maybe we need to settle. Well, obviously, we needed to settle. It was very obvious at the time. And, he's good. Yeah, he's good. Chris Paul minutes were back up a little bit here, 12 and 6 with 11 assists and 2 steals, and that's strong. And I did mention Mr. Stephon Castle earlier on. He played 31 minutes. He only had 10 points and shot 36% because he is a bad shooter, but 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block is good. The minutes are encouraging. I don't mind rostering him for now while they're giving him starters minutes and seeing what happens. I really don't think it happens long term because he's going to move to the bench, I'm guessing, and Vassell will start unless they don't start Champagny, which is possible. Because Bubbles had, not Bubbles, this is Bublé. He had 13 points in 27 minutes with 6 rebounds, which is totally okay. He hit 3 threes, totally okay. Streamable, no problem, but not a must-roster guy. And the same goes for the horse, Keldon Johnson, who had 25 minutes, 11 and 3. We know Johnson's not a very good player overall in terms of fantasy stat set. He's a points league guy that needs 30-plus minutes and decent usage, and now he will not get that. So you can, as the once... Not the once legendary, he's still legendary. As John Armstrong says, get that garbage out of here. What else is going on? Devin Vassell, 12 points in 21 minutes. Bit of a ramp up happening here. I expect maybe a week until he's back at full minutes, and that'll be great. Well, the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. $10 points in 30 minutes, and we can ignore him in nearly all leagues. Feel pretty good about saying that. Today's episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price that you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. It's magic. Or it's, them being annoying. Either one. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about those sort of gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile, that's like a mouthful, man. How does Ryan Reynolds do it? When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, well, they mean it. So say goodbye, ta-ta, hooroo, au revoir to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month, and all plans come with a high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any any Mint Mobile plan, that's it, and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That is mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds are slower, over 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. So that word mobile, I would say mobile, right? I know in America you say mobile, but isn't there a town in like Alabama? It's called Mobile. It's all the same word. Isn't English an interesting adventure every time? Let us move on to the second game of the day. Well, what is it, the second game of the day? Well, they all start at the same time. Maybe they're all equal first. Maybe they're all equal last. We'll never know. The Brooklyn Nets get a win over the banged-up New Orleans Pelicans. The Nets were without starting power forward Dorian Finney-Smith. They replaced him in the lineup with Zion Williamson, and they win at 107-105. Let's talk about the starters first. And Nick Claxton played 32 minutes. He had 13 and 9 with 2 blocks, and we're good. All right, 75% from the line is a little fluky, but the minutes are back. The rebounds are fine. The blocks are there. I think we are good to go from now on. Cam Thomas definitely has cooled off since that hot start. He is now outside the top 70. He was flying, and now it's settling in. 17, 7 and 2 with 4 threes. He shot well, but only 10 shots. That's a weird thing to see from Cam Thomas. But they won, so there you go. Cam Johnson was not at his best. He had 15 with not much else, while Dennis Schroeder, you'll be also surprised to know that Schroeder did not continue his pace as a top 20 player. Him and Buddy Hield doing the old handshake meme. Yeah, to say, hey, neither of us are this good. What are we doing here? Polar bear in Texas, all of that stuff. 14, 3 and 2 on 44% from Schroeder, who is now 86th over the last 5 games and has dropped outside the top 40. And I think he will continue to fall down those overall rankings because what he was doing was not real. It wasn't going to hold. I was fairly sure on that. Let's talk Zion Williamson, who started in place of Dorian Finney-Smith. He had 12 and 9. He had a steal and a block, and he shot 25%. So it could have actually been a lot better. Imagine a world, though, where Zion Williamson takes more shots than Cam Thomas. That's the world we live in today. There you are. I don't think you need to do much with this. I'm not sure how long Finney-Smith is going to be out, but later on in the year, that is definitely intriguing. It's interesting that they went with him over Jalen Wilson. Keep it in your mind, if you've got stashable formats, deeper formats, Zaire might be the guy to go with. And the other one who you got to keep in mind is the big fella, the circus jester, Noah Clowney. Arthur Fleck, 15 and 7 with 5 threes and a block, and he shot poorly as well. It could have been an awesome game for Noah Clowney. I love Clowney. I think there's a lot of upside in him. It's been really tough sledding with the minutes, and obviously you've never held him in 10 or 12 or 14-team leagues, honestly. But the outlines are there. We know it's going to come at some point later on. It's just a matter of when. Speaking of when, we don't know when Ben Simmons is going to get hurt, but for now he's cooking. 22 minutes. And by cooking, I mean he had a really good game. 6, 5, and 12 with 2 steals. 12 assists in 22 minutes is outrageous, but we have also seen Ben Simmons play 24 minutes every night and get nowhere near this. So this is great. It's fantastic. What a great game. If you add him, you don't get this. And look at the opponent that we're up against. I don't think that we need to add Ben Simmons on the back of this performance. While it is good, like we keep watching it, 22 minutes is not enough to suggest that he will be a guy to hold on to all the way through. The New Orleans side, Trey Murphy returned, and they just immediately started him. So it was Jeremiah Robinson-Earl going to the bench. Let's just talk about Trey. He played 26 minutes. He had 12 and 5. He had 2 blocks. He shot poorly, but the most important thing is that he is back, and we're ready to go here. Those minutes will ramp up over the next week, and he'll be having a real stretch of time here with no DeJounte, no CJ, no Zion, with an ability to do a lot of stuff. Brandon Ingram had 24 points on 24 shots, which sucks, but his assists are up. He had 9 of them. He hit 2 threes, and he's going to have a real prolonged stretch of value here. And then Jose Alvarado stunk. Now, before you look at this and go, oh my God, what am I doing? He hurt his ankle. He went to the locker room. He was in the locker room for a while, and he returned. It was a bad game. 3 points. What, did he get 1 assist? No, 0 assists and 1 steal. Terrible game, right? But don't worry about it. You have to hold him. There's no other point guard coming in here. What we do also have to do is make sure that Brandon Boston, make sure that we've got BJ on our roster. He only had 7 points on 23%, but 35 minutes, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals. He is locked into the starting role until somebody, Jones, Murray, McCollum, return. Probably, honestly, I think he's better than Jordan Hawkins. So we'll see where we go. But you got to roster him. What an unbelievable development. After I've been on this Boston bandwagon for years, I just didn't think that we'd be getting this right now. And we are, so let's go with it. What else do we need to... I didn't even talk about Yves Missi, who had 30 minutes, 17, 11, a steal, and a block. And that brings me to a very common, surprisingly, fantasy basketball, and maybe it's other sports as well, phenomenon. We got the news today from Shams Charania, Zion Williamson 4 to 6 weeks out, right? So people go, oh my God, what's the ad? And then they see this and they go, look at that. Missi usage way up. Look at that. Because Zion's out, he has to, that is unbelievable. Wow, he's got to be a must add now. Fantastic. This means that people ignore that Zion missed the game before, right? Before we got the timeline announcement from Shams, Zion was out the game before. So these last 2 games without Zion bring Missi's total across the 2 games to 17 points and 12 rebounds. In this game, he had 17 points and 11 rebounds. In case you don't know what I'm getting at, he went 0-1 in the game before without Zion. The exact same situation. In fact, this one was worse because Trey Murphy was there. The difference is he played against Brooklyn. We saw Zach Edey go for 29, 15, and 5 blocks or whatever against Brooklyn the other day. Brooklyn is turning into centers against Charlotte a little bit here. I'm not saying not to go and add Missi, but we have seen Missi starting all season. We have seen Missi without all of these players for a big period of time. We have seen Missi multiple games without Zion. There is one good one. It happened to come the day of the timeline announcement for Zion, which makes me think, makes other people think, or makes you go, oh, we just saw Zion's out, so look what Missi did. Has to be correlated. And maybe it is. But also, what about the other 5? Where Zion was out literally 2 days ago, and the big fella had 1 rebound and 0 points. If you want to go and add him, by all means, go for it. I don't think it's a terrible move. But do not look at this game and go, Zion out, this is what we get. That is a silly way to look at it. Right? It just is not a realistic thing. He shot 88% in this game. He only had 14 usage. He didn't actually have a huge usage. His minutes were up. He only blocked a shot. The boards are nice. But this is not, because Zion out, numbers up. Not how that works, I don't think. Argue it if you want. That's okay. Jeremiah Robinson Earl's minutes dropped. He had 15 and 4. And nothing much to see there. We don't need to worry too much. Well, Daniel Tice, who started the season as a starter, played just 9 minutes. Where is my man, Kalamakovic? Come on. At some point, surely he's like, if Daniel Tice is that out of favor, surely Carlo's going to get a crack at some point. Surely. Maybe not. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. You open up the app. You got the bets. Well, if you didn't have the bets there, what would be the point? But they're there. And then you can also see the live stats. You can also see the live play-by-play. All this information. You can beautiful mind it in your head, and then you can open it up, and it's all there. It's all there, ready to go. And if you are a new customer and you place a $5 bet and you win it, the first one, well, bang, $150 of bonus bets straight into your account. So go to FanDuel.com to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Let's bang through the next game, which is it's the Washington Wizards. Yes, it is. And the Houston Rockets. Pretty comfortable victory, this one, for the Rockets. And old mate Kyle Kuzma returned. And that meant that Keyshawn George moved to the bench. The Rockets win at 107-92. was your final score here. Let's just start with Kuzma, who played only 24 minutes in his return from the groin injury, which seemed to be coming back a little bit too early, but whatever, he's back. Can this dickhead stop shooting? Who are you? 38% usage, 39% field goal, 18 points and 18 shots with 4 rebounds, 0 assists and a steal. He is, and I don't want to say like he's a disaster because he's okay, but like stop it. You're not good. You're not anywhere near that good. Like, stop it. He is an infiltrating weed into the value of these other Wizards players. If you've got Kyle Kuzma on your fantasy team, this wouldn't be the greatest time to move on from him, but I'd look to do it because at some point he will not have this role in this team because he'll be on another team or he'll be fake injured and sitting out somewhere else. I don't know. Jordy Poole, the steals keep going. 11 points on 36% is bad, but 5 rebounds, 6 assists and 4 steals. Not really going to complain too much about that. While 17 minutes only for Jonas Valanciunas. 10 and 8 with not much else. Should you be worried? Yeah, a little bit. I think it's a hold, but that's 2 sub-20-minute games in a row. Alexander Sarr really was quite poor here. 5 points on 22%. His shooting is terrible. I would be holding. He is one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. Had another 2 blocks here, and that's not a joke. He actually is. 6 rebounds. Just the shooting's horrible. Hold him. And then Keyshawn George. It's a terrible result for the first game back with Kuzma. 25 minutes, 8, 2, and 3 with two triples. That's not what we want to see. I think George has been awesome. That is troubling. I will hold for one more game. And Bilal Coulibaly, 11 and 4, no assists, 1 steal, 1 block. I love that he got 1 steal, 1 block, but the usage just disappeared. 14% usage. He has been very good. He has been a big breakout player. He's not as good as sometimes he gets Dutchied up to be because there are these weird high efficiency games and then there are the games where like this happens and that's nothing. So we've got to really monitor where the usage goes and where the overall efficiency lies now that Kuzma's back to screw everything up. Bubbles Carrington, 31 minutes, 10 points. Okay, that's incredibly low usage. He shot well, Bub. His percentages have been very much up and down this season, but 11% usage? But what he did, now this man, part of the reason why a lot of my dynasty projections didn't like him, he couldn't get a steal or a block in college to save his life. He couldn't do any of it. 4 steals, 2 blocks here. What is happening? Is the GOAT Jordan Poole teaching him how to do this? Among other things? I don't know. 10, 2, and 6 with 4 steals and 2 blocks is an unbelievably good line. He should be on a roster. There's a lot that I look at and go, I don't know if that holds. How can you get by as a 10% usage starter? Not sure how that stuff all holds and the fluctuating percentages, but like for now, that's really good and we just keep going with that. I think that's about all on the Wizards side of that ledger. On the Rockets side, Fred VanVleet was a random scratch with hamstring soreness. I'm not sure that he's going to sit the next one. You'd have to think that there's a chance of it, but that meant that we got Amen Thompson in the starting lineup, and what a ridiculous line this is. 28 minutes, 13 and 8, 4 steals and 4 blocks. His defense is actually out of control. The way that he was playing defense in this game, against the Wizards, but it was ridiculous. Like, this is what he can do. Now, the problem is that there isn't 28 minutes available every night, but we roster him. We enjoy these nights, and then we make other decisions if he stays in a lower minute role for a long period of time. The delicate dancer cooked the Wizards 27 and 17 for Şengün with 3 blocks, while Tari Eason got 26 minutes, 10 and 6, 3 steals, 2 blocks. We are seeing the big enough minutes of Eason. They're here. That's great. It didn't seem like it would be happening early in the year. It is here. We're off and rolling. Well, Jabari Smith had one of his better games, and when one of your better games is 11 and 9 with 20% shooting, well, I think you know what we need to do.
Get that garbage out of here.
Jalen Green, after those first few games, he has just been like, it just felt like invisible. What is it? 18 points on 40%. Okay. 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Like, the 2 steals are nice, but he's just sort of settling into the guy I think we drafted to be like the 100th best player. What's his Yahoo fantasy points? Like 71st and trending down every game? What a weird start to the year it was for the Rockets with Amen and Tari not really playing, Şengün getting benched, Green dominating, and now it's all sort of flipped back around to the ideas that we had. With no VanVleet, Reed Shepherd played 17 minutes and had 7, 1, and 0, and very, very clearly, we are not rostering Reedus Shepherd. Let's go to the next game. This one I'll class as the second last game. Obviously, it's not because they're all at the same time. And it is the as I try and find my right thing, it is the Clippers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Clippers kept the same lineup and they lose in the end 134-128. It looked like it was going to be 134-131 after Derek Jones hit a 3 at the end, but they waved that off. Storm and Norman Powell continues to be the best shooter in the world. 31 points on 67%, 5 threes, 4 assists, 3 steals. I feel like every time someone has a game and they continue to shoot this well, it means that the crash is going to be harder. And I know that's not how numbers work, but it is going to crash. As much as I cannot guarantee this enough, there is no way. 100% there is no way. But while Kawhi is out, it doesn't matter because the volume offsets it. Jimmy Harden, poor shooting again. I don't know if Jim's shooting numbers are going to come back up. He hasn't been really a good rim finisher in a while, and that's really causing a problem. But 17, 11, and 9, 33%. Yeah, good enough, and he's been a first-round player. Zubats had 22 and 14 with 3 blocks. It was a very good game from Derek Jones Jr. 20 points, 33 minutes, and 4 threes. Shot 62%. That's 2 good ones in a row from Jonesy. He's definitely on the periphery of 12s. If you wanted to stream him in today, you made a good call. I wouldn't say that it's a must-hold, must-roster scenario. We've seen the ups and downs of Jones, but that's a nice little hot streak. While Kevin Porter had 9 points, so we thought maybe his stuff was pushing up. No. Terrence Mann had 4 points in 18 minutes. If you're still watching this and you believe in Terrence Mann as a fantasy player, please, A, get some help, but let me know in the comments, because what are we doing? There are people still rostering him in 12-team leagues, and I'll never get that. Amir Coffey and Chris Dunn played extended minutes here, done with the 8 assists, which is a little bit sneaky, and 3 threes and 13 points for Coffey. They are, along with Jones, 12-team stream options. What we wanted to see with the Thunder was what they were going to do without Chet Holmgren, and out of nowhere, the Oklahoma City mudflap Kenrich Williams returned. He only played 6 minutes, so they just went small again. And what they did is last game they played Cason Wallace 30 minutes, and this one he played under 20 minutes and went scoreless with 4 assists and 2 steals. So guess what? It's going to be more of the same unpredictability with these. Now, instead of 1 position, it's probably 2. The guy that started was Isaiah Joe. He had 12 points. He played 31 minutes. He had 2 threes. He had 3 steals and a block. That's great. Joe could play 21 minutes next game. If you wanted to add him, cool. If you want to add Aaron Wiggins, cool, who had 10, 4, and 4 in 29 minutes. If you wanted to add Wallace, cool. The ones we don't add are Dylan Jones, who played 6 minutes, or Usman Jeng, who played 9. And this could all change again in the next game and something different happens. I don't know. It is going to be very unpredictable. Last game, Wallace looked like the ad. This one, Joe. Next, Wiggins. Who knows? One thing that didn't happen is nothing changed for Alex Caruso. 20 minutes, 12 points, 2 threes. Exactly the same for him. Nothing changed. What we did get, though, is an absolute monster from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 45 and 3, 9 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, and 4 threes, and 15 of 16 from the line. Now, his efficiency, his free throws, his defensive stats had all dropped off. They had dropped off. He had been out over the last 2 weeks outside of a first-round valuation. But this is awesome. This gets you way back up there. And the Bronco, also really good, Jalen Williams. 28, 8, and 6 with 2 steals on 69 giggity shooting. Big numbers for both those guys. Williams was the center in this starting lineup, by the way. And they just said, we don't need your height. We don't need your big boys. We're just going to go out here and cook regardless. And cook they did, which is a huge, huge sort of recovery from them after losing Chet Holmgren. The last game of the day, the Cleveland Cavaliers kept it going again against the Chicago Bulls, 119-113. Still not Dean Wade in the starting lineup. It's Isaac Okoro, same starting lineup for them again. Okoro had 3 points in 19 minutes, and he is equally as useless as Wade is in that starting group. While Don Mitchell, who's turned in a few subpar performances, was great. 36 and 8, 4 steals and 7 threes. We love to see that. And then that meant Darius Garland took a bit of a back seat. 17, 2 and 5, and 4 steals. But getting 4 steals on a back seat night, you love it. Evan Mobley had 15 and 11, the koala. That's not a huge game, but it's not bad. And we have to be a little worried here about Jarrett Allen. He only played 21 minutes the game before. He played 26 here and had 9 and 5. And there was some talk on the broadcast about a calf issue. Nothing officially has been reported on this or announced by the team, but just keep an eye on that. And if he is out, it would mean some extra opportunities for guys. It would mean Mobley could actually blow up and play center full time, but it would mean guys like George Niang. It would mean Karis LeVert, and it would probably mean maybe they uncork some Tristan Thompson. I don't know. I hope not. Nothing that really necessitates much of a 12-team move. Karis LeVert, not at his best, but 12, 2, and 3, remains a 12-team league guy. But how about this? How about we all crack open a celebratory carton of milk? Because Ty Jerome had 12, 4, and 6 with 3 steals. He was amazing in this game. And this is a bloke who played like 2 games last season. Him turning into a competent, very good backup point guard has been really, really good. And for deeper leagues, honestly, amazingly, Ty Jerome's a top 130 player this season. I don't think you should be looking at him as a 12-team league player. And in points leagues, he's 172nd. But that means in 16-teamers and 14-teamers, you need to be paying a little bit of attention there. On the Chicago Bulls side of this ledger, they don't get it done. But there were some performances that are worth talking about, and one of them is Kobe White. 37 minutes, 20 and 7, 6 assists, 4 steals and a block. You don't really get the steals from Kobe that often, but he's been actually high. I saw a stat that I think in every win the Bulls have had, he's had 2 steals at least. This one not a win, obviously. The shooting not great, 39%, but really strong stuff from White at the moment. Well, Josh Giddey, 31 minutes, 18, 8 and 7. Finally, some big field goal percentage and one of the better games he's had, which he's been a little bit tough to sort of predict all season. We got more minutes from Nikola Vucevic in this game with Jalen Smith out. He had 20 and 8 with a 1-1 and shot well again. Am I going to admit that he's the best shooter in the world? Of course I'm not, because he isn't, and it will drop off, I assure you of that. Someone left a comment today on the Basketball Monster site talking about, well, if he has one bad shooting game, this, and all these other good ones, doesn't the bad shooting game become the outlier? And my response is no, because he's played like 1,000 games in the NBA and been in the league for 11 years, and like a 10-game sample size doesn't turn him into the greatest big man shooter of all time. And I think that is really important to note is things don't happen in isolation. The season doesn't reset at the beginning of 2024 year, and everything that happened in the past is gone. So then like if he has a 10-game hot streak, that we ignore what happened the previous 300 games. I don't think we should be doing that. He is obviously just continuing to cook. And I again, I don't believe it will hold. Simple. Pat Williams. That is 3 big ones in a row from Patty. 13 and 10, 3 threes, steal block. I hate saying that he's an ad. I think he might be. I don't feel very confident about it, but that's really good. I'd assume he was like doing nothing. 10, 3, and 4, and you're sort of hoping that someone gets hurt so we can do a little bit more. But overall, I think his upside is relatively limited, and he needs to sort of blunt force his way into 38 minutes to be this top 100 player. So, like, if you're in a shallow format, not sure you want to do it. Well, Matas Buzelis comes in like one of the first subs off the bench, plays 3 minutes 44, never to be seen again. What's actually going on? Also, by the way, what's the final score in this game? The Bulls lose 119-113. Taylor Horton-Tucker came in, played 59 seconds, and was -3. He came in, Billy Donovan brought him in, and said, oh, absolutely not, what are you doing? Hopefully that is the end of the Taylor Horton-Tucker. Just waive him. What is he doing on this team? He's so bad. Get him out of here. Why is he playing? Why is he taking away minutes from other players who might be good when he is a player that we know is not? Get him out of here. All right. Monstrous. Two really clear contenders here, I think, for this one. In the end, we're going to go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 45, 3 and 9, 5 steals and 2 blocks. That's pretty bloody hard to go past. The waiver wire line of the night. The best performer using my super secret roster percentage number. It's Yves Missi. 17-11, 2 steals. Really good game. Add him if you like. Understand all the facts behind it, though. Your young gun of the night. This one is not, again, don't be shocked about this one. I think it's pretty obvious that it is the guy that should have gone in round 2, Victor Wembanyama. 34, 14, and 6 with 1 steals and 3 blocks, the number 2 overall fantasy player. And your dud of the night, the worst performer. It's Taylor Horton-Tucker every night, but he doesn't qualify because he's not rostered in enough fantasy leagues. We're going to go with Keegan Murray, who had 5, 3, and 1 in a pretty disappointing performance. Let's round this bad boy up by taking a look at the top 6 players across the action on Monday in the NBA. Number 1 was Shai, and not surprisingly, number 2 was Victor Wembanyama. Number 3, Alperen Sengun, followed by Donovan Mitchell, Kobe White, and the Bronco Jalen Williams. Your top 6 waiver wire players for the day: Yves Missi, Ben Simmons, Ty Jerome, just a real sneaky 14-team league guy, Ty Jerome. Pat Williams, maybe a 12. Derek Jones, at least on the 12 streaming radar. And then Isaiah Joe, maybe more 14 teams. And I just don't have faith in Dagnot's rotation. Your top 6 Yahoo Points League players for the day: Shai, Wemby, Don Mitch, Sengun, Jalen Williams, and DeMar DeRozan. And then for ESPN points, well, it's basically the exact same thing. Shai, Wemby, Don Mitchell, Sengun, Jalen Williams. And lastly, it is Storming Norming Powell. That's the end of the show. Only the 5 games. We'll be back tomorrow with a buy low, sell high, and I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow to see that I have hit 80k in the subs. So if you haven't done it, go and do it. Be number 80,000. That would be sick. I would love it, and I would love you guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.